are so incredibly talented, my God. And they all blend their voices so nicely. Like all of the voices. Knowing how to sing is very different than knowing how to sing in a group. Because when you're in a group and you're singing all together, you have to know how to blend your voice with the other singers. Hey everyone, it's Mishan here, singer, songwriter, and vocal coach. And today we're going to be reacting to EXO's acoustic session.
Run, run, lost boy, they say to me.
So I really love acoustic performances because then you get to really see the quality and the performance level of each singer. You really get to hear exactly how they sound as opposed to the more produced live versions that could potentially be their voice or not. Usually the acoustic versions where they actually sing. So I really like the guitar there. I like that kind of percussive approach to playing it. It's kind of like a similar style to the way that Justin Bieber's Love Yourself song is, where it's kind of like with harsh stops in the middle. I like that kind of style.
She's my baby.
Wow. First line, killed it. Like, that was awesome. Really nice light, and I love the float he has in his voice, where just like, you can sense what he's feeling is just floating out of him. It's so easy.
녹아버린 초콜릿.
And you could hear clearly how he has complete control over his range, moving in and out of falsetto seamlessly, and then moving into his mix where he's pulling up a little more chest. So, you know, that first slide where he went up, he went into his falsetto, and then as he came down, back into his chest, and then up into a mix. So just moving around his range so seamlessly.
Walking into my door.
See right there, into my door. So there he's really kind of going in his heavier mix, and he's leaning into that sound. You know, it's not into my door, right? Which would be more of headier falsetto approach. By the way, if any of you are confused by any of the terms that I'm throwing around, you guys can find a good explanation and clear instructions of how to start to access these things and, you know, use them in your voice in my program, Transform Your Voice. You could check it out in the card. I'll leave a card up here for you guys, and you can go there. You could check out exactly how to start to implement these techniques and understand what I'm talking about here.
서글픈 맘에 커튼을 열어 달빛에 물들인 눈물로 편지를 보내요.
Alright, so I don't know their names yet, but his voice is so nice. I think like his voice is definitely my favorite of the group. What do you guys think? Who's your favorite singer in EXO? So while his voice is really, really nice, it doesn't have the float and the ease that his voice has.
It's my turn to cry. 내가 할게요. 그대의 눈물 모아. It's my turn to cry. 내게 맡겨요. 그 눈물까지.
They are so incredibly talented, my God. And they all blend their voices so nicely. Like all of the voices. Knowing how to sing is very different than knowing how to sing in a group. Because when you're in a group and you're singing all together, you have to know how to blend your voice with the other singers. Because there's going to be different harmonic content in different singers' voices. And so if you know how to match what the other singers are doing in that way, you'll get a very nice blend. Because we don't want it to be too combative, one voice to another, when they're harmonizing.
This time, 그 눈물까지. This time, 그 눈물까지. This time.
Nice. He has a really nice voice as well. You know, I'm sure they're all super talented. Yeah, it seemed like the first singer was the standout performance so far. Wow, look at that audience. Woo. Look at how many people are there in that audience. It's insane. So I like how each one of them has a very different character to their voice. They're not all exactly the same. The one that was just finished singing, he has more of a throaty type of sound, something that's a little bit more in the throat, not quite as bright, not quite as forward as the other singers. So it just kind of gives you a different feel. Not that he's doing it incorrectly, but it just gives it a different character than the other voices here. And so there, if you hear that, his approach to his falsetto wasn't quite as seamless as the first singer's ability to move from his chest to his head voice. I mean, we're splitting hairs. They're both doing it really well. But just as far as ability goes, the singing ability of the first singer is much better. It's amazing how simple they make it seem. It's like when you watch them sing, at least for me, it makes me feel like anybody can do that. It's just like so simple, it's so easy. And to know I struggled for so long to be able to get even close, and I'm not saying I am where they are, but to even get close to singing like that took me that long. It's just like, oh, I wish it came that easy. And nice, he could throw a little bit of grit on there, which sounds really nice, putting on a little bit of rasp, not feeling that it's, you know, only clean singing here. He's able to use different vocal styles, which is really cool. So this is where it's really nice having a big group of singers. You can kind of have this chorus effect where everybody can sing their part and you get this nice thick vocal that you definitely wouldn't be able to have with one or two singers. You know, having 6, 7, I didn't even count how many members there are, but having that many singers on a stage really allows you to create that chorus effect even with harmonies going on at the same time. I really like the funky feel to this song. It's really funky. It's awesome. They also sound really good in their low range. A lot of times when people are, you know, they just kind of hang out in their high range and that's where they sit most of the time. Sometimes they could get stuck in that and that they just don't go to their low range. Whereas here, they're actually exploring their low range and it sounds really good. So they have really well balanced voices. And that's why I really encourage people, you know, if a lot of my students that I teach, I encourage them learn to feel out your voice. Don't get stuck in one way of singing. You can sing it one way or sing your low range and work out that part of your range and then also work out your high range. We should always be exploring the extremes of our range. In addition to just allowing you to have more artistic freedom, it also allows you to be acutely aware of what's going on with your voice. So if one day your voice is actually, you know, you're a little bit sick, you're under the weather, you didn't sleep enough, if any of those things happen, you'll notice that the extremes of your range start to shrink. And so if you never really explore those extremes of your range, you'll never really know what's going on with your voice. So I highly recommend to my students to be able to explore those places in their range, and then you'll know kind of what's going on. Maybe you shouldn't be pushing it at certain times. Maybe you should take it easy. And you know, that comes with time and practice and feeling out and experience and knowing your voice.
잡을 수 없는 손을 뻗어도 왜 이리 깊은 한숨만
That was really nice. That took a lot of control to be able to go from his chest to his falsetto there with ease and connection. That's not easy to do. That takes a lot of practice, and to be that accurate with pitch, because that was dead on.
너 역시도 나를 원했단 걸 이 어둠을 지나서 너를 태워서 넌 눈부신 빛을 던져버려 가까워지는 널 기다려
So the float that you hear in his voice is the type of float we should always be going after. We don't want to force anything and push things to happen. You should feel like this, just like super ease with singing. That's what it's all about. It's another reason why I focus a lot with my students when I'm teaching. By the way, if you guys want to see a little bit of my teaching patterns and how I teach my students, you guys should go right here. I'll leave a link in the card and also in the description down below, where you can get access to all of my one-on-one lessons that I've done pre-recorded with my students. It's really important to incorporate a lot of relaxation techniques into the exercises that you do so that you're not feeling stiff and stuck when you're learning how to sing. A lot of it is just being able to be loose and feel that flexibility in the muscles, because like any muscle, if it's going to be rigid and straight, it's going to be strained, right? We want to make sure that it has fluidity, it has movement. That's an important aspect to it. All right, who's the beatboxer there? Okay, so now I can tell how many people there are. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 people. One guy's hidden behind the other guy. But that's, wow, that's a lot of members of EXO. That's really crazy, that many people. But I like that beatboxing, it's sounding good. Alright, so now it seems they're moving out of the acoustic feel of it. It seems like they've put down their guitars, because now they're all standing up, ready to all sing together. But it seems like it's a lot of the same members. Even though there's 9 members, there's a lot of the same members singing the parts over other members. Like there's the main people that do almost all the singing, and the rest are kind of supporting that or dancing. So nice and released. That falsetto is just like, it flows out of him. It's not pushed, it's not forced, it just comes right out. It's awesome. Alright, so the first high note was really good. The second one was just a little bit yelly, a little bit on the shouty side. Could have found a little bit more of a head voice mix in there that would have made it slightly more musical and less pushed and like pushed up there. Would have been a little bit more released. So that's something that takes a little bit of practice to be able to find the exact vowel formation that's going to put you into that placement where you want to be. Because if you go too wide, it's going to pull you out of that placement. It's insane how talented they are, moving around the stage, singing and dancing, and like it's all basically without a miss. Like they're really, really on point. It's amazing. I can't imagine, like I feel like I would get lost on that stage. You'd have to do so many times of rehearsing it over and over and over and over again to know exactly where you should be at every point in time. Crazy. All right, now it seems they're breaking it down a little bit slower.
서로 바라보는 시선 서로 바라보는 시선
Really nice delay on the vocal. I really like that. A kind of repetitious echo that kind of goes out. That sounds really cool.
서로가 아름다운 널 보면 그가 싫지는 않아 너를 천사처럼 웃게 하니까
It's also amazing how cool and relaxed they stay. Like, despite the fact that they were just running around the stage and dancing and moving, they're not like flustered, they're not pushing, they're not forcing their voice. Like, something that I found with myself live is that I get kind of overly caught up to the point where I can't pull back and just be like, okay, relax, do it nice and easy so you're not forcing, pushing. You know, you kind of get into this rat race or snowball, negative snowball, where like you push a little bit harder, which makes your vocal cords swell, which then makes you need to push harder, which makes your vocal cords swell. And it becomes this really negative downward spiral, which really for me started when I was singing in a band. That's how I started singing. And I used to do practices without any amplification, and I didn't have a headset or anything. So I couldn't clearly hear myself at all. And so it was a really bad situation, and I threw out my voice night after night doing that because I just didn't allow myself to be heard over the instruments. Like, it was just too loud. You know, you've got drums, you've got guitar, you've got bass all amplified, and then me singing with no microphone, it's just too much. Like, I was just screaming the entire time. Such an amazing, like, it must be an amazing feeling standing there and you've got everybody with the lights in the audience, and they're all like rooting for you and like with you. It's really, it's a feeling of like being part of something bigger than yourself. So I hope you guys liked this video. If you did, please check out this one. I'm sure you're gonna love it as well.